know what, this isn't right. People are being truly harmed. Because we're not talking about like you buying a car, right? Like, we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is this is people's retirement money they've worked their entire lives for. Right? That's one big piece of the puzzle that just really pisses me off. This is people who have put this money in their IRAs, and these take it and they say, no, we're going to have that. Thank you very much. Here's your 50% back when the time comes, but we're going to keep the other 50. And what are you doing with it? You're pissing it away on gambling. You're pissing it away on alcohol. Nah, I'm not about that, man. It gets my blood pumping. I can't do it. I can't sit here and let these people do it to people. So I have spent, and I will continue to spend my time with any person that will speak to me about it, that will give me the time of day, and I'll do it for free. I'll fly myself to DC to talk to Congress. I'll do whatever has to be done to cut the head off of the Medusa once and for all.
All right, so today I'm here with Dale Whitaker. Is that how you say your name?
Yep.
Dale, and you are would you call you a whistleblower? Calling out, would that be fair to call you that?
Yeah.
A whistleblower calling out what you believe is a gold scam. Is it safe to call it a scam?
Yep.
Basically, we're going to talk about several different companies, but specifically, you worked for a company called Augusta Precious Metals for a few years. So you want to go ahead and tell me what your role was with the company, like when you worked with them, and how you came to the conclusion that you thought they were doing some sort of scam.
Yeah. So I actually started freelancing on Upwork. At the time, it was a different company, but I started freelancing on Upwork. I had built quite a decent bookkeeping clientele. I'm an accountant. I'm actually an IRS enrolled agent now. But at the time, I was just a freelance bookkeeper. And I responded to a listing for Augusta's CEO. I didn't know anything about the company, just generic bookkeeping. Came on board and was working with him on just, not even 5 hours a month of bookkeeping. And then over time, as he and I discussed business more, and we were very business minded, thought the same in a lot of ways. He liked me and essentially offered me a full-time position, asked me to fire all my other clients and go work for him full-time. So I ended up there.
So specifically, when was the date that you got hired, and how long did you work there for?
I don't know the exact date. It was in 2014, late 2013, early 2014, when I initially got hired to do bookkeeping. And then full-time was probably the fall of 2014.
And when did you leave that company?
I left in the December of 2018, I believe.
Okay. And for people who don't know, Augusta Precious Metals, we've talked before, and basically they are a company that sells gold bullion, different gold products to people. Specifically, they target senior citizens who are trying to diversify their nest egg, their retirement fund, out of, say, stocks or bonds or whatever, and put some money into gold. And you have claimed that this company, Augusta, and other companies, which we'll discuss, that they sell their gold, the gold that they offer the seniors, at insane markups that potentially they could never see a return on. If these seniors tried to sell down the line, they would see very little profit, or in many cases, no profit at all. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Essentially the math shakes out that if you were to buy the premium coins that they sell you, the assets that they sell you, they tell you that the greatest assets on the earth, the market would have to increase 45% in order for you to just break even. So the gold market or silver market would have to move 45%. And that's at the low end of the spread.
It would have to go up 45% just to break even from where you were to buy it.
Correct.
So most, to be clear, and I know we've talked before, and you said this is somewhat of a complicated issue. You said you talked to NPR and other companies, and they said they were interested in your story, but they're like, this is too complicated. We can't really talk about that.
Yeah. So I worked with a journalist in 2019. Her name is Carrie Lynn, and she actually helped me quite a bit making connections. We actually it wasn't very fruitful, and she actually didn't charge me anything. It was like a consulting thing that I had picked her up to do. and she had made all these connections for me, and NPR was looking real good, and NPR was just like, it's a very interesting story. We like it, but I don't know, or whoever it was she spoke to said the producers don't feel like it's something that they could iterate properly and succinctly over the air, basically.
Okay. Didn't you, I believe you mentioned last time we talked that you were also, didn't you fly down to Florida for an interview with Nightline and then they canceled that at like the last second?
Yes. Well, it didn't cancel. We recorded everything.
Oh, you recorded everything, but they didn't air it.
They didn't air it. No. So I flew on their dime, they flew me to Florida. And they put me up in a hotel. My attorneys are based out of Florida. That's why we did Florida, and they're based out of DC. So it kind of worked. I did the entire, it was like a day. Yeah, I think it was a full day of recording in a hotel. We did a bunch of B-roll shots. I mean, just the whole nine. In fact, my attorneys were like, "Hey, we've never done a story where we've had a dual camera setup." So they went all out on recording this, and suddenly, the producer got a promotion, and then the journalist, she got put onto the White House beat, and the story got killed. And I reached out to them many times. I'm like, "Hey guys, like," and not only did they reach out to me, by the way, but they also went to they flew to LA to confront Isaac outside of Augusta.
Mhm.
They went to some of the victims' homes.
Isaac is the CEO of the company Augusta that you worked for.
Correct. Yeah. And they went to some of the victims' homes, and a lot of these victims were very hesitant to speak because they'd signed NDAs in order to get their money back. So these people were going against NDAs to speak out against the issue, and they honestly had to be convinced to do that because they were concerned about having a lawsuit brought against them and so on. And then they canned the story, which I think is just disingenuous to the people who are being harmed.
Did they give you a reason why they canned the story?
Not a black and white reason. There was no black and white reason.
And I think you said Isaac, who was the CEO that you used to work for, the company Augusta. Didn't they send you a cease and desist or something?
Yep.
And
yeah.
you said you just ignored it. You had to tell your story.
Yeah, they sent me. In fact, my wife and I were vacationing in the UK. I'm British, and we were visiting family in the UK. And I remember it was like December 5th or something. I get this email, and it was a cease and desist. And I just sat on the couch and I chuckled.
They haven't sued you or anything since then?
No, so it was funny. So they sent me the cease and desist, and then they followed it up with another letter, and they said, because you didn't respond to our initial letter, we'll take that as a sign of guilt. And I was just like, okay, take it however you want, man. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, this apparently is a bit of a complicated issue. So I'll try and break it down as easy as possible, and you can say if I'm getting everything correctly. But basically, what happens is you can buy, senior citizens, anyone can buy gold from the market, and with the hopes that gold, as of right now, I think gold has gone up quite a bit just in the past few days, with the hope that you can sell gold for more money down the line. Now, Augusta, this company specifically, and other companies, we'll go over many of these companies specifically targeted conservative seniors, and a lot of them pitch their services on, say, Fox News, on Daily Wire, and a lot of these companies, I think Crowder, you said as well, was one person who promoted a lot of these companies, which we'll go over in a bit. But basically, these companies offer gold bullion, gold products for way over asking price. And if you bought gold from a legitimate company and tried to sell it, if gold went up 10%, you would make money. But if gold goes up 10% from these companies, you will not make money. You will lose money because they're charging you insane fees where the gold has to go up massively in order for you to just break even. Is that the basic of what's going on here?
Yeah, so they're not actually charging you a fee. So that's kind of the one of the things that's interesting is there are no quote unquote fees. So what they do is they just charge you a huge markup on the price. So they say, so traditionally on a bullion product, you're going to pay, 3, 5, maybe 10% if there's a huge supply issue. There was a few years ago, I believe in 2017, 2018 timing, there was a huge shortage on silver American Eagles. You were paying a
And
huge premium.
just to be clear, when you're talking about the premium, there's the gold melt price, and then you pay on top of whatever the actual melt price of the gold would be, you're paying the premium. Because
Correct.
these companies obviously have to make some money off of selling you gold, and it should be normally, I don't know, what, 10%, and this company will charge you what, like several 100% in some cases?
Yes, 150, 200%.
Wow.
So the best way to really look at this is just take like a generic 1 ounce silver or 1 ounce gold coin. Let's just do a 1 ounce gold coin. Let me restart that. So the best way to do this is to just look at a 1 ounce gold coin. So if you
Okay.
look at a 1 ounce gold coin, it's your spot price. Let's say it's $1,000. Let's say it's gold's trading at $1,000. You're typically going to spend 3 to 5% in premium. The mint charge the dealer a certain percentage. Usually it's 2.5%, 3%, and then the dealer mark it up anywhere from 0.5% to 2.5%, 3%. Not a big margin there.
And this company you work for, they're dealers. They don't make the gold coins. They buy them from the actual mints, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then they sell it to people, individuals, correct?
Correct. Yep. They're just a dealer, just like any mom and pop gold shop around your neighborhood.
Okay, and so you worked for the company for about 4 years. What exactly did you do for them, and when did you decide, hey, there's something fishy going on, I don't like this?
So I actually did quite a lot of things, but my main role was as the chief financial officer. So I did all of the trading, I did all of the buying, the selling, all the financial work, minus the tax returns. It's the only thing I didn't do. So I did all the bookkeeping, worked with the CPAs on getting the filings done in terms of what we depreciate, don't depreciate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But end-to-end accounting, trading, the whole nine. And then alongside that, I also helped him build a proprietary CRM that integrated with their other CRM that the traders could use in order to quickly close deals.
What's a CRM?
It's a client management system. So let's say you call in. Let's say we've sent you let's say we've sent you an email, and you click on that email, then you fill out your information. That gets routed to our CRM, and then let's say you decide to call. All of the information's already in our CRM based off of your filling out of the form. So if we could call you, and that'll tie directly into the CRM, and they could literally, as they're calling you, they have all of your details pulled up, and they're going to pre-qualify you to see if it's worth their time to sell you the junk.
Okay. And so you mentioned before, like this was a very lucrative job. You were making good money, right? And then eventually you found out, I don't like what they're doing. Something scummy's going on, and you left. Correct?
Yeah. So the one thing that was interesting, so Augusta was born out of another company who got sued by the Santa Monica District Attorney's Office, Merit Financial. So one thing that was interesting is Isaac kind of had me in a good position where he could keep me at arm's length, because I'm based out of Washington and I really didn't have any interest in moving to LA. So
Washington, the state, not
Washington
DC.
State, correct. So he could keep me at arm's length and not really clue me in a whole lot to the sales side of things and so on, even though I could see the markups. There was part of me that was like, it's willing buyer, willing seller. The buyer knows that they're going to pay a 29% spread. They know all of these things ahead of time. But what the buyer doesn't know is that in those contracts, Augusta retains the exclusive control over the coin. So at any time they can increase or decrease that spread, which is where you go from having a 29% spread to a 30, 40, 50% spread. But that's a little pre-context. But to answer your question, the way that I found out was that Isaac called me one day and asked me to increase the spread, so from 29% to like 50%, because there was a gentleman who wanted to sell 5,000 silver coins of our exclusive silver coins back to us. So by increasing the spread, we decrease the amount we have to pay that individual. And I just instantly was like, hold on, no. We don't do this. Like, this isn't okay. When we sold him these coins, we told him that he would get a 29% spread, and then it's open to the market at that point. I'm not going to do it. And Isaac, I'll never forget. He laughed. He thought I was joking. He goes, "You're kidding, right?" And I'm like, was like, no, man. I was like, you do what you want to do, but keep me out of it, dude. Like, I don't want any part of this. And then I like my blood was pumping, my adrenaline was going in. I'm like, there's something seriously wrong here. Because then I started thinking about the Merit Financial lawsuit, and I was like, hold on a second, there's more to this than what I've been told in the past. And then I started really digging into Merit Financial and Goldco and all the other lawsuits that have happened with these larger companies.
All right. So for those who don't really understand the spread and all that, basically an individual wanted to resell you coins that he had bought from the company, and the CEO told you to increase the price or lower the price that they were going to sell, that they were going to buy from him.
Yeah. So spread, simply put, this is how a spread works. You buy a coin from us for $100. We have a 29% spread. We pay you 71 cents, right? $71. So you pay us $100. You agree to a 29% spread. Therefore, we would, at that moment in time, if you wanted in that moment to turn around and resell that coin to us that same day, we'd pay you $71. Right.
Okay.
So the market has to move that 29. It's actually 45% because of the spread, but the market has to move that 45% to get you up to that $100 mark again to break even. Right.
Yeah.
So by increasing the spread, we go from buying it back at $71 to $50, even if the market moved up. So they have complete control over the coin.
So they're getting a great deal because they can go ahead and sell it at a higher price to someone else, right?
Yeah, and that was the entire argument Isaac and I got into about this buyback. We call them buybacks. So this is the entire argument: is he was saying we're losing dollars, and we actually wouldn't. We would have still made about $2,500 even after we paid commission to the guys if we'd have just bought them back at the spread and then resold them. Now, would we have made less dollars in that profit? Absolutely, we would have, right? Because you would have made $21 in this given scenario, less per coin, right? And over 5,000 coins, that's a lot of money. But we're not actually losing dollars, right? We're just losing margin. So there would have been no tangible dollars lost except for, okay, well, we could have bought them from the mint at our cost and made a whole lot more money, but that's not the point. We have a responsibility to buy them back based on the agreements we have with the clients.
Okay. And so that massive increase in the spread that he wanted you to do, would you say that's not normal from a legitimate gold company? That's not something a legitimate company should do?
No legitimate company. If you look at AppNext, Jambullion, these big guys that you don't see advertising on TV because they don't have the margins for it. I mean, realistically speaking, they're selling at 3 to 5 to 10% margins. They do sell collectible coins, but they list them as collectible coins, which generally have larger spreads, and coin collectors will know this. So it's not normal in any sense of the word. So if you were to actually buy a coin from Augusta or another company that's doing this, and you were to buy that coin and you were to just buy it at whatever they're trying to sell it to you at, and you were to take that to your local coin dealer, and you could do this with every coin dealer and go in and say, what would you pay for this coin? They would probably give you the melt value or 2% less than melt because they don't know what that coin is. They have no secondary market for it. They're just going to take that coin and melt it down. They're going to put it in their melt pile with everything else, and they're going to mint blanks, or they're going to sell it back to the mint, whatever they're going to do with it, because there's no value there. There's no secondary market for those coins.
So do you think what they're doing is just really scummy, or do you think what they're doing is technically illegal?
I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to speak to the legality of it. But what I will say is this. My attorneys surely felt strong enough that they were willing to take me on as a client after doing their independent investigation, which took about 3 months. They took all of the information I provided to them. They have their own in-house team that go and say, hey, is this stuff true? Is what he's saying true? And then they came back and said, okay, we'll take you on as a client. So I haven't paid my attorneys a dime. And then they felt strong enough that there was a legal case here that they were willing to file a complaint with the CFTC and the SEC.
And they haven't done anything yet?
They have not done anything yet. We filed the complaint, and I believe it was January 2018 or January 2019.
Interesting.
I'd have to look at my notes, but yeah.
But I've been looking into these companies, and apparently they're like, there's a web of these companies, and once one of them gets shut down, they're like cockroaches. A bunch of the employees go to the next one. So basically, I don't know if you know the history. You can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But there was a company called Goldline, which basically did the same thing that Augusta did. and they were sued. They never admitted to any wrongdoing, but they paid a bunch of fines to get that lawsuit taken down.
Mhm.
And then a bunch of employees left Goldline and started a new company called Merit Financial,
Mhm.
which I believe they were accused of fraud. And that company was closed down. Is that correct? Merit Financial?
So, Merit Financial were sued by the assistant district attorney in Los Angeles County, and I believe the lawsuit was like $200 million, something like that. And all the employees showed up to work one day, and there was just a notice on the door, "Hey, we're closed."
Oh, wow.
So Isaac had actually left about 8 months before that, and I'd been working with Isaac for about 8 months, 9 months. He had left. He had had a bunch of money saved from the commission that he'd earned at Merit, and he had already started Augusta. And so he was just building the infrastructure website, sales pitchings, things like that. And Isaac was one of their top salesmen, actually.
Mhm.
And he was one of their top performers. And Isaac's story as to why he left Merit to go to Augusta, even though he's making really good money, is he realized the money wasn't in sales. The money was in being an owner of a company.
Mhm.
So he started Augusta. It was just him out of his house. He had one other guy who was also working out of his house at that time as a salesman, and he was training him to be a salesman. Um, and then he had 8 guys show up at his door one day. "Hey, man, Merit Financial's closed. Like, they got sued, and what are we going to do?" And then, in fact, the birth of Augusta was literally 10 to 12 computers in Isaac's living room, all around the outside wall. And they had just set up these 10 rigs around there, and they took the list from Merit, and they started cold calling the list from Merit.
How did they have the capital to have the gold to sell to people?
You don't need it.
You don't need it.
You don't need it. So the way that it works is, Scott, you come to me and you say, "I want to buy gold from you," and we say, "Okay, we're going to sell you this gold," right? So we lock you in on your trade. You
Mhm.
send us the money. We then buy it from the distributor, and then the distributor drop ships it to you, and we keep the margin. So there's no necessary capital outside of advertising revenue and so on that you need. But because they had Merit Financial's database, they didn't need to put any money into advertising off the bat. They just started cold calling all the Merit Financial
Mhm.
customers, and continued on selling the Merit Financial assets.
And so you're alleging that they are doing, Augusta is doing basically what Merit was doing, what they got shut down for.
Correct.
Okay. So let's go into the actual product. I know we've talked about this before, but basically Augusta, I have their website pulled up right here. They have Mark Levin, who is a conservative radio and TV host. We'll talk about that in a second. But if you go to the products page, they have premium gold, premium silver. And what you say is that they have these exclusive coins that they have minted. I believe you told me from Canada as well as other mints around the world, like the official Canadian mint, will mint them these special coins, and then they will sell these to people at insane markups. That is well above what you can actually get from. Is why people don't see a return on these products. And what's interesting is on their website, they don't list the prices of any of their products. So from what it says give us a call. So you have to call them before they will even tell you what the price of their product is that they're selling you. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the reason they do that is because it's all hard sales.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get you on the phone and they pre-qualify you, it's you're off to the races at that point. Let's close this deal. Let's get this person sold.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of it, they'll say it's not a bait and switch, and so on. And sometimes that's not true, but they really can't monitor every single salesman. There are times that salesmen will tell them, "Yeah, I'll sell you, I'll sell you that." But then the minute you send them the money to buy a silver American Eagle or a gold American Eagle, they basically go, "Hey, before we move forward, let me tell you about this product."
Mm-hmm.
And then you're getting sold.
Okay. And so they have these products. It's minted by like the official Canadian mint of the country of Canada, correct?
Yep. Yep.
And they're selling these products that are insane markups. Why is the Canadian mint, and I think you said the African mint and other countries, official state-sponsored mints, are selling them these exclusive coins that they then sell for insane markups that people will not see a return on? Why is the Canadian mint, why are these mints allowing that to happen?
That's a great question. I actually sent all of the executives of the RCM in 20, I believe, or late 2019, maybe early 2020. I sent them all an email with a letter informing them of what was happening and asking them to quit engaging in these contracts. I think the answer to your question is always money. They make a whole lot more money by minting an exclusive coin for Augusta than they will minting it and then selling it themselves to the general public. There's no work involved. The only work they have to do is set up the die, strike the blanks, and then give them to Augusta. And in fact, they don't even mint them there. They mint them at a third party here in the States. So they just contract it out to a third party. Everyone makes their 10, 20, 30 cents a coin, whatever it is, and then it gets marked up down the line. Augusta doesn't care what the markup is because they can just mark it up 150% and hard sell you. So whether they're paying, I mean, he cares only because it means more margin for him. That's Isaac. He does care what he pays because the more he has to pay to the distributor, the less he can mark up the coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking, 5, 6, 10 cents a coin at that point. So, typically we would pay $2.75 to the distributor per coin for a half-ounce silver coin. The markup was $2.75 per coin. The mint ain't making that on silver Canadian Eagles. The mint ain't making that on silver Canadian Maple Leafs.
All right. So can you tell me I don't know if you can go into details, probably can't say names, but like a story of someone who bought these coins from Augusta and then tried to sell them. I know you mentioned a guy earlier. You have any other stories where someone tried to sell these coins back and they lost a ton of money? And I know some people, I don't know if we can go into detail, but some people said that their lives have been ruined. They lost so much money, their retirement savings. They thought their investment, because gold price had gone up, so they thought their investment was worth way more money. They try and sell it back because they got ripped off by being charged way over asking price of what the melt gold is. Now they're not making any money. They lost money trying to resell their product.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of them. You probably don't even have to go that far to find them. There's probably someone in your neighborhood. In fact, I met someone here in Spokane, Washington, very recently who told me they'd invested $250,000 in gold, and I asked him where he bought it from. He told me, and I hung my head. I said, "Send me your statement. Let's get you your money back." Sure enough, sent me his statement. All the junk. So I told him, "Hey, reach out to the company, get the bid price." Sure enough, he asks for the bid price. It comes back. It's a little less than break even. And I said, "Hey, here's the simple math, man. Gold's gone up, 60, 70% since you purchased this a few years ago. Where's your money? So, you don't have to go far. But so that's one story, even just this year, where I happened to meet this guy through a friend of mine. And we just started talking about gold and, yada, yada, yada. And this story came up and I'm like, "Hey, man, we got to get your money back." So, but as for people recognizing the harm before someone's pointed it out to them, there's plenty. There was a gentleman, I won't state names, but there was a gentleman whose wife had invested her money into the coins at Augusta. And about 4 months went by. Who knows what happened? He found out. He started looking into it, and he's a very intelligent guy. And he called back and said, "You're going to refund my wife every dollar." He went as far, because this is what they do. That no, we have all these agreements. Here's their agreements, blah, 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 blah. So this guy went as far as contacting his local congressman's office, his state attorney general. He contacted everyone and their mom, and he came back and said, "If you do not give my wife her money back, I'm going to pursue all of these avenues." And then Augusta said, "Oh, okay, buddy, here's an NDA, sign this. You never talk bad or anything about Augusta, and we'll refund your wife all the money once we receive the goods." He signs the NDA, of course, because it's hundreds. I think it was $100,000 or something like that. He signs the NDA to get his wife her $100,000 back. What do you do? What do you do, right? Like unless people from within the industry are willing to speak out, if you're someone who has the potential to lose 50% or more of your nest egg when you should be making money, what do? You just sign the NDA and say, thank God I dodged a bullet on that one. right? What about
Yeah.
the next guy and the next guy?
Mhm. Well, we talked about this before last time we talked, but on their website on like Trustpilot and stuff, they have a like a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. Excellent rating. So when I first looked at them, I'm like, this company looks legit, everything looks good. Why is Dale calling them out? And so you allege that like anytime they get a bad review, anytime someone claims they're going to sue them, they're going to take these suckers down, that they'll refund them and they make them sign an NDA so they don't talk about it. That's what
Yep,
happens
sign an
basically.
NDA. Yep, sign an NDA, remove the Trustpilot review. And sometimes when they get a bad review, so first let's talk about how they get their reviews.
Hmm.
So they give free coins away. So what they do is, hey, thanks for and it's like immediately after your trade, right? So you're pumped, you just invested this money, yada yada yada, and they say, and then you get a call, hey, this is so and so from the admin office. Would you mind doing a review for us, and we'll send you a free coin outside of your IRA, and it's just your coin to keep. Sure, I love coins, right? But that's why I'm investing in them. So of course I'm going to do that for you.
Hmm.
The negative reviews, the way those are handled, so that's how they get the reviews in the first place. Now, the negative reviews, how those are handled are you leave a negative review. I call you, and what I try to do is try to give you as much free silver as I can, right? Because I'm telling you the silver is valued at, I could give you 10 grand of free silver. Hey, if I give you an extra $10,000 worth of silver, would that appease you enough to remove it, right? So however they sell that. A lot of times it doesn't work out that way because they've realized, right? So now they're going hard to get their money back. But let's just say you said yes. Well, that $10,000 worth of silver is actually only worth 5, maybe, right? Because of all the markups. And then what Augusta do is Augusta take a hit from that trade, right? It gets assigned to the trade. They take a hit, and the salesman takes a hit out of his commission as well. So the salesman makes less money. Augusta makes less money. The client's happy. Remove your Trustpilot review. Thank you very much. See you in 5 years when you try to sell it back to us.
Wow. All right. So let's go back to your time with Augusta. We talked before, and you said that initial thing that kind of said that hey, this company is pretty sketchy. And as you continued to work there for a brief while, you found out some other sketchy things. Why don't you tell me about the sales call and wiping of the sales call? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So one of the big things that Isaac was very particular about the things you did not say. In fact, he had a sheet called what not to say or something. I don't remember exactly what it's called. But he was very particular about language that was being used because of the gold line suit and the Merit Financial suit. So there were many times, you get salesmen in there that are hungry. They'll basically say just about anything to sell you on something. So there are times where so what he did is, in order to make sure that the salesmen were not saying things that could get Augusta in trouble, he hired his sister to monitor all the calls, and then when there were calls that came up, he would reprimand the salesman, and then they would wipe the calls. So he'd say, hey, and he even used them in training sessions, like, hey, this is what you don't do, right? So he'd get the salesman together, hey, listen to this. This is what X salesman did. You don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like, you're just asking for a lawsuit.
Yeah. So basically, they would be erasing all information of the shady tactics they would be using to get the sale. But then you would say that they would make sure that they keep the confirmation of the actual sale so that they had all the receipts like, hey, you made the purchase. Maybe you didn't agree with it, but we have all the details. You can't go back on it now. We have the information. They keep that information, but they erase the shady sales tactics that they use. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So the way that it works is you call in, you get pre-qualified by what's called a junior account executive. He will pre-qualify you. Hey, Scott, you got 20 G's? Yeah, I got 20 G's. Okay, well, yeah, cool. We'll work with you. He butters you up a little bit, talks to you about your family, right? Gets you nice and comfortable. And then he says, hey, my executive sales guy is actually on the other line. Let me have him call you back, or let me place you on hold for a few minutes. You're on hold, blah, blah, blah. Goes to that guy. Then that guy hard sells you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the way that the analogy I give to people is like, it's like going into a car dealership, right? They keep you there for hours. and hours, and they keep you on the line, and they're talking to you, and they're like, throwing terms at you probably don't understand, and you're telling you why they're qualified, making themselves out to be fiduciaries, telling you a whole bunch of crap. And then once you decide to buy it and you send the money, they send you over to a record. So all these calls are recorded, by the way. All of them are recorded, or at least they were when I were there. And then they sent you over. So they lock you in, right? Scott, I've sold you. Yep, got your deal. I'm sending it over now, right now, to my admin, and they're going to call you on a recorded line, and they're going to confirm your order. So they call you and they say, hey, Scott, you're going to buy this at this price. Yes. Yes. So they have you going, yes, 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 every time. And then okay, great. We got you locked in. We'll ship it to your depository and have a nice day. And then, next day you get a call. Hey, you want a free coin? Give us a review. And then, like you said, they delete all of the sales prior to that recorded call confirmation. And in your file goes the recorded call confirmation, your transaction agreement that they have you sign via EchoSign, and then, anything else that's pertinent to you. Maybe it's, your IRA statement or something like that with your holdings and the transfers and so on.
Wow.
But yeah, no sign of those sales calls.
One thing you mentioned before also is, I believe Isaac, he knew that because of the other company, was it Merit Financial, that shut down? And again, Augusta, they're in Southern California, and he wanted to stay out of a particular region where I guess the DA was looking into them. So he told you specifically to find offices for the company outside of the DA's jurisdiction. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the assistant, actually, his words. So I remember this, and this is like, I guess this should have been my first red flag, right? But just put this in context. I'm 24 years old. I'm now making $150,000 a year. The most money I've ever made in my life is $40,000, right? So I go from being this bookkeeper making $40,000 a year to making $150,000 a year, right? So today, as an older me, I look back on that and go, that was so dumb and naive, right? But me then, I'm looking at that and he's like, oh yeah, I want to, and he even told me the reason. But his words were, the assistant DA has a hard-on for precious metals companies, so we need to get out of his jurisdiction. Look for offices in Culver City.
Wow. And that DA, was that the DA that took down Merit Financial?
Yeah, I believe it was the assistant DA. I don't think he's the actual DA. I don't know if he's been promoted since, but he was the assistant at the time. Yeah.
So he's like, put us somewhere where that guy can't get to us.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So let's go back to their website. I'll bring it up for people who want to see it. On their website, they have Mark Levin, like I mentioned before, right on the front page. And many of these other companies they specifically target conservatives, conservative elderly people. And they use Fox News. They use many of these conservative companies to target these people. And to be clear, I'm not sure, like, if you want to clarify, this isn't like you just hate conservatives, so you're trying to take down these companies. You like, if they were going after, if they were targeting people on the left as well, you would talk about that as well. But they specifically target conservative groups. Is that correct?
Yeah. So all of these companies that are doing the same thing, their marketing model is 50 plus conservative Christian. That's what they're looking for.
So to be clear, you don't think a lot of these conservative spokespeople like Ben Shapiro and Crowder, you don't think they actually know you don't think they're intentionally screwing their audience over? They're just oblivious. They're just like, hey, this sponsorship came to us. We briefly looked them over. They got a 4.8 on Trustpilot. They look legit. Yeah. Let's do the deal. That's what you think's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I've emailed them all though. Mm-hmm. I've emailed every single one. And, they have handlers, right? They have people who screen emails and so on and so on and so on. I even went to Jordan Peterson's Reddit, and I posted in his Reddit thing, and I posted a whole thing in there. It got a couple of thousand views. So like I've done everything. I've emailed all the people at Fox through the Fox News forums.
Did they leave that post up, or did it get taken down on the subreddit?
Last I checked, it was still there. Yeah, last I checked, it was still there. And I do believe if there's any one person in the world that would actually speak out against it, it would be Jordan Peterson. I would be that guy does not give 2 cents about money, in my opinion. He
Right.
is not driven by that. So that's why I went that. I was like, no one else is listening. I'm probably getting screened. I'll go directly to his Reddit channel, and I'll post in that Reddit channel. And I just, again, nothing.
And to be clear, all of these groups, all these conservative people, they're not all working with Augusta. There's a bunch of these companies that are all similar, all doing the same thing. Like I mentioned before, they're like these gold companies are like cockroaches. Once one gets shut down, they all go to a different one and start doing the same thing. I believe you said Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire was working with one of these gold companies as well. Do you know what company
Yeah.
that was?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't. And they're still advertising, I believe. I just saw it a couple weeks ago. But part of it is I'm nobody to them. They don't know who I am. They don't know, they don't know that I could just be a competitor. Who knows, right? Like they have no idea.
Mhm.
The other part is I feel like I'm being screened a lot. But what happens when you confront someone and I walk up to you as an independent YouTuber and I say to you, hey man, like this advertiser is doing you wrong and doing the people that you serve wrong by advertising this on your channel, and I send you and I'll forward you the email I sent him, and I got crickets, and I'd like to think, I don't know, maybe he had a conversation with them, but I'd like to think that if he'd had that conversation with them, he'd come back to me and say, hey man, I spoke to them and they just like refuted everything you said. Like, so what's true here? Right?
Yeah.
Like any morally grounded person would look, if there is a claim about the advertisers that are advertising on your YouTube channel, you would look into it and you'd go, hey, I'm not for this stuff. Like I want my audience to be buying things that are good for them, right?
Sure. So
I don't
I'll
know.
look up these Ben Shapiro and all these different guys and see what gold companies they're working with. But do you know specifically any conservatives and what gold company they're working for? Can you name any of them?
I'd rather not name by name, because I don't have, I mean, I have evidence of, again, like I met a gentleman earlier this year and I have his trading ticket, and I know they operate this way. And you can point them out, because, Augusta can't sue me. I have whistleblower protection against them. So they sue me, we just counter sue under the Whistleblower Protection Act. I don't have that against these other companies. So it's one thing for me to go to them and say, hey man, this is a high probability that this company is doing these things and I can prove to you this is how this works. But it's another for me to call them out directly right here, on the
Yeah,
spot.
I understand. So let's go back to Augusta then, the company you can actually talk about. On their website, like I said, they have Mark Levin right on the front page. Now, one thing that's really interesting to me is I actually went to Mark Levin's YouTube channel. I watched several of his videos that he runs sponsorships in the videos, and I didn't ever see, not one time from any media that he's ever put out, have I ever seen him talk about Augusta. The only time I have ever seen Mark Levin with Augusta is on their website or any material that's connected to them. Do you
Yeah,
know
I
why
mean,
that is?
who knows? It could be, I think I have, though. I'm 90% sure I've seen, because I remember the last time. Yeah, I'm 90% sure I've seen him do that, because
Okay.
I emailed him like immediately after I saw that. On my wife and I were like watching YouTube or something, and he did a shtick in the middle of one of his videos.
Yeah. I
But I
mean,
could be wrong. Could be
I
wrong.
if you can
But
find it, I'd love to see it. I'll definitely
okay.
do some more research. From the videos I watched, I went through quickly to find the sponsor, and I never saw one for that company. And I was just curious if I I don't know if maybe like they're working, they don't know, like he doesn't know he doesn't know that they're using him as the spokesperson. I believe there was another company, metals.com, that used Sean Hannity, and he didn't know or something like that, and they got shut
Yeah.
down. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
I don't know if they did. I know quite a bit about that case. In fact, there was some ties to the metals.com guys and Augusta. Um, but I think that that's a rarity.
Hmm.
Most of the guys that are running these companies, they're not stupid. Isaac's a very intelligent person. Um, there's a lot of people in this industry that are very smart and they're actually good business people. It's just sad that this is how they decide to spend their time and make their money, because I believe Isaac would have been successful no matter what he got into and what he decided to do, because he's a very good business person. But at the end of the day, this is the route he's taken. But to answer your question, I think that's anecdotal. The guys at metals.com that were running that, let's just say that their lifestyles were not great, which is very typical for most of the salespeople. They usually have alcohol issues, or they have they have lavish lifestyles and they need to maintain those lifestyles, gambling habits, things like that. Not all of them, so I don't want to blanket, but it's quite prevalent. But I think that was more of a one-off. Isaac would never. I can guarantee you Mark Levin's agent 100% knows this is happening. I don't know if he knows Mark Levin. I'm sure he signed off on something at some point, but these guys are brokering deals to their agents all the time. So he probably doesn't know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say he probably doesn't know to the extent. But he definitely, his agent and him definitely are aware that Augusta are using him as the face of the company. There's no doubt in my mind.
So you're aware that Joe Montana is a sponsor for them as well?
Yeah, he has been for a few years. Yeah. Again, you see Joe Montana like on golf commercials and things like that. So that's his target market, 50 plus conservatives, out playing around at golf. Like the people that they're marketing to know who Joe Montana is, right? Mm-hmm. Like they know that guy, right? So it's part of their childhood, or like they grew up while he was in the NFL. I believe he's NFL, right? So they know who he is. So that's a name you throw out there for legitimacy.
Yeah. So like everything you told me, the former companies, Merit Capital and all these that got shut down, looks like this company, from what you're saying, they're doing the same stuff and they should probably at least be investigated, possibly shut down. And you left the company in 2014. Have you been trying to get the word out about this for the past 9-10 years?
Yeah, I left in 2018. Yeah,
2018?
Man, I've spent probably a year and a half of my time in my off time and pursuing leads, trying to get the story out, pursuing media. And it's been grueling, man. It came to a point, honestly, so I actually sent all of the information to the to the Attorney General's office in the state of California. I sent them my complaint that we'd filed with the CFTC. At this point, my attorney was like, "Hey, we can't represent you," because the CFTC at this point had closed the case. They said we don't have jurisdiction. And then I'm like, okay, so now what do I do? Right? Like I don't have an attorney. I don't have this case with the CFTC anymore. What do we do? So I just took the exact complaint. I didn't change anything. I just sent it to the Attorney General's office with a cover letter saying, "This is the complaint I filed. I will give you 15 gigabytes of data that will prove everything that I'm saying to you. Please do something. Please do something." And got a response very quickly, which was crazy. So this is in 2019, like July, August. They sent me a link. I sent them all of the data. I've got a letter here somewhere kicking about that, like they acknowledged receipt of everything and so on. And then of course COVID hit. So nothing happened. So, and then I just threw my hands up and I just said, you know what, Lord, I'm done. Like when you're ready, when it's your season and you want to bring this to the light and you want to help people, when you want to help these people, I'll be here. I'll give it 110%, but I'd been going hard. I mean, and when I say going hard, man, I mean, I was going hard for 2.5 years, dude, just nonstop, leads after leads. I spent thousands of my own dollars, and I don't care about money, but I'm just, the point being that I spent a lot of time, a lot of my own money, and a lot of effort, a lot of sleepless nights. I went from making 150 to 800. I think the most I'd made at that point was $180,000 a year to making $40,000 a year. I mean, I put it all out there and I just said, you know what, this isn't right. People are being truly harmed, because we're not talking about like you buying a car, right? Like we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is this is people's retirement money they've worked their entire lives for, right? That's one big piece of the puzzle that just really pisses me off. This is people who have put this money in their IRAs, and these cocksuckers take it and they say, no, we're going to have that. Thank you very much. Here's your 50% back when the time comes, but we're going to keep the other 50. And what are you doing with it? You're pissing it away on gambling. You're pissing it away on alcohol. Nah, I'm not about that, man. Well, that I just it gets my blood pumping. I can't do it. I can't sit here and let these people do it to people. So I have spent and I will continue to spend my time with any person that will speak to me about it, that will give me the time of day, and I'll do it for free. I'll fly myself to DC to talk to Congress. I'll do whatever has to be done to cut the head off of the Medusa once and for all. That's my goal.
Yeah. I know last time we talked, there hadn't really been any change. You've been the same story you gave me now, and nothing had really changed. But I think since last time we talked, you actually were able to contact a congressman and at least get something moving. Is that the case?
Well, there's actually been quite a lot that's changed. So first, there was a Washington Post article that got front page. It was a front page column that pointed to a 2-page spread in the Washington Post that got very good traction online as well, actually. I think that might have piqued some interest in Congress, I hope. But yeah, I've been trying to get my congresswoman to do something for a while. I've been working with her office, and we were trying to determine, which committee has jurisdiction in Congress, because it almost was like it was blending. And so I've been just for the last year, just back and forth emailing calls, trying to get them to do something. And then finally I got put in contact with a congressman's office who they're like, yeah, we want to do something about this. We see this as being an issue, and we want to do something.
Do you know the congressman's name?
Yeah, David Kustoff.
Okay. Do you know where he's from? Like what district or anything?
Yeah, he's in Tennessee. So Tennessee District 8, it looks like.
Yeah. And so can people contact him and say hey, we want you to investigate this?
Yeah, and I would even encourage. Yeah, so here's what I will say. Every time I've reached out to several Congress people in the time that I've been working with my congresswoman, right? Or tried to get my congresswoman's attention, which I finally did. Finally got a meeting with her, and that was great. And we've been working together ever since trying to get this done. So what I will say is a lot of the times they'll say, oh yeah, hey, we can't work with you. You got to go to your congressperson, which it makes sense. Like they're not representing you. But what I will say is, if everyone contacts that congressperson's office, regardless of whether you're not in that district, if everyone that watches this video calls his office and says, do something about this issue, it will light a fire. And it will be a lot more of a fire than just little old me doing it on my own. So all the help we can get, if people contact him, it would definitely push the ball down the road a lot faster than it's going right now.
So Augusta Precious Metals, was a vice president of that company, started a new company. What was it called? Red Rock
Secured.
Red Rock Secure, which is basically the same thing that Augusta does. And they got sued to oblivion, basically. And that guy was the vice president of Augusta, does the same thing, starts a new company, they get taken down. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was the CFTC closed my case and said they didn't have jurisdiction. So fast forward, that was in late 2019. Fast forward to 2023. His name's Shade Kelly. He had started a company called Red Rock Secured, operating exactly the same way as Augusta did. And the CFTC and the SEC filed a joint suit against him for $60 million. You can go to their websites. You can see the lawsuits. It's all public knowledge. And so because I had been in contact with the SEC about Augusta earlier in the year, I responded to the SEC because I have their email, the people that I'm working with. And I said, how does this make any sense? I filed a complaint in 2018 before that company was even started. It makes no sense that you guys have sued him prior to suing Augusta when you've had the information way longer. And I get crickets. So it's a little frustrating, but again, this leans back to the cockroach analogy you had earlier. You shut down one, or maybe there's a dispute within a company, and then what happens is a salesman just goes and starts their own company, starts doing the same thing. Fortunately, there were some government employees in that Red Rock Secured case that had used government pension money to invest in the coins. And once the scam had been realized, they obviously went to whoever it is that deals with those things, who probably have ties to people who can do things, and said, hey, there's an issue here. And they were able to fast track that lawsuit through the CFTC and SEC. But what the frustrating thing for me is, our complaint was closed because they said they didn't have jurisdiction. So then how can you file a joint lawsuit when they're doing the exact same thing? Yeah. So that was my biggest frustration with that.
What happened to the guy that ran Red Rock? Did he go to jail or anything like that?
So that's actually a very, very recent lawsuit. Believe that was May of this year. I was actually in contact with their CFO, who was my ex-assistant, and he claimed that they did nothing wrong. So it's just crazy to me. It's like, yeah, but you did, and it's clear to anyone with eyes to see that can do a little bit of math that you guys are definitely doing something wrong. So it is what it is. I'm glad that they got shut down. I have it on good authority that they're trying to start a new company under a new name, and they're going to just transfer all the leads. I can keep you apprised of that if that comes to fruition. I'd be very shocked if the SEC and CFTC allow that to happen while this lawsuit's ongoing. But I do know of a website that had popped up using an address here in Spokane, Washington, that that's Sean Johnson Kelly, Shade Kelly is one of the officers on that company. So, and it's just another gold company under a whole different name. So my thought is they're probably going to transfer all the leads from Red Rock Secured to that company, and then they're just going to operate again. It's like, when do you end? I mean, it's just crazy to me.
Okay, yeah, hopefully that works. One thing I wanted to end on is you don't think all gold companies are scams, right? Like there are legitimate companies that will sell you gold. Is that what you believe? They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
listen, if in doubt, go to AppMex. So
what should someone look for if they want to buy gold? What should they look for in a legitimate company that says, all right, this is legit. They're not trying to scam me.
Okay, so the first thing is, I would say check your motive as to why you're buying gold in the first place. That's the first thing you got to do, right? Like, just check what's your motive. If your motive is to hedge against inflation and to have a stable investment, okay, that's fine. So then what do you need to do? Well, you don't need a fancy coin to do that. What you need is to pay the least amount of premium, that's dollars over the spot price as possible. So you don't have to have a gold American Eagle or a silver American Eagle. You just need an IRA approved coin that's 4.9 fine or more to be able to invest into that. So if you can get that, and you can get I don't know, you can just get a round, a silver round or a gold round, buy the silver or gold round if it's a lot closer to spot. Because what you're going to do is you're going to hold on to it until the market moves to the point where you want to sell. Go back to that dealer. Let's say it's AppMex. They have let's say 5% spread. You sell it to them at that 5% spread. You're good. You made money.
So should a legitimate company, because I know Augusta, they don't show the prices of their products on the website. You have to call them. They have to confirm you have like 20 grand in your IRA or whatever. Would a legitimate company up front tell you what the price is right on their website?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you let's say you're typing in, hey, into Google, buy gold, right? First thing you do, skip all the ads. All the ones that say add, skip all of those. Go down and just look at all of the legitimate companies and start going through. And if you happen upon a website that says call for pricing, or they have terminology like premium coins or exclusive coins, or anything with that, stay away. Close the box, put them on your blacklist. Don't touch them. Those are the companies that in all likelihood are the ones that are going to put your money into a bad investment, and they're going to sell you hard on something you don't.
Okay. Well, hopefully with this video, hopefully we can get people in Congress to at least look into the company. It'll be up to them to decide if anything is being done illegally, but hopefully they will look into this company now that I'm going to do this story, now that the Washington Post did the story as well. And I'll leave you anything you want to say to end the video, anything you want to say at all.
I'll just say this. Money isn't everything. My wife and I went from making good money to making next to nothing. She had to go back to work, which, not a big deal. But the relationships you form with people are more important than anything. So don't put money first. Put the people who are around you first. Put other people first, even strangers you don't know, before money. Because at the end of the day, when all's said and done, you can't take your money with you. But what you can do is leave a mark on the world and say, like, hey, this person did good things and they wanted the best for everyone around them.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Dale. I appreciate that.
Yep, you're welcome.